everybody! Today we're going to be looking at another tarot deck. We're going to be opening it up, giving it a look at, and talking about what I think of the art. This is Cult, a deck of tarot, and it is by the artist Killer Pancake. And before we get started, I just want to say that I do know her IRL. She is a friend of mine. She did send me this tarot deck for free, but she knows that I will be giving it an honest review, and that is what she wants. So before we get started, I want to talk about the box, just because it is a little different from her other decks. Like I said, it is a little bit different, and I apologize if you can hear the cat in the background. I have just given up on getting him to stop making noise, so we're just going to go with it. It does say a 78 card tarot deck on the back, and then it says on the bottom, Killer Pancake, Cursed Art for the Damned Divine, killerpancakeillustration.com, so it just has her information on it. It's a very sturdy box. I like it better than one of those, I think they're called tuck boxes with the flap. I usually do put my decks in bags, but I don't have enough bags for all of my decks. So it's nice to have a box that doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. And yeah, it's a bit of a shiny finish. And we have this little pamphlet. It says, Cult, a Deck of Tarot, First Edition 2020 by Killer Pancake Illustration. You open it up and it has an about this deck, how to use the deck, a disclaimer, the suits, which it explains a bit there. So I'm going to read some of this to you now. I'm not going to read all of it, but a little bit of it. Cult is a tarot deck about anxiety, queer love, horror, and the societal construct that is gender, told through the human figure. The cult it references is a metaphor about the fear of belonging. In the ever-persistent internal journey of self-discovery, our feelings can oscillate between the role of outsider or hostage. And it talks about using the horror genre to talk about this, and it says that she has created 2 other decks, the Bridge Witches series, which is about where she lives, which is where I live, the Lost River series, which is about mental health. And then this is a public embracing of her queer identity by exploring queerness and gender fluidity. And the cards I pay homage to traditional tarot while building a deck stripped of the old hang-ups. So we're going to talk about now how this deck works. And I like to talk a little bit about if the deck is kind of different suits-wise, just that, you know, a little bit about it. So this talks about horror references and symbols, and it talks about the meanings of the cards then. And there is a full PDF guide for the deck that you can download at her website, killerpancakeillustration.com/cult-guide. And then there's a full bibliography of books, films, and music she can consume to create the deck is also included in that. So there's no physical guide available for purchase either separately or with this, but that's fine. And it goes on to say, those familiar with the Rider-Waite Tarot can translate their knowledge seamlessly. If this is your first tarot deck or you haven't fully committed the meaning of every card, there's no shame in not being off script or inventing your own interpretations. This is your deck, go use it. It talks a little bit about the gilding on the edges of the cards, and it recommends shuffling to get rid of the flaking, which is pretty normal. I'm going to read the disclaimer and then the suits to you, and we'll get into the deck. I am a cisgendered woman creating artwork that strives to celebrate gender diversity. My hope is you feel welcome in this deck no matter your identity. I hope not to fail you, yet I am only one human. Know that this was made in good faith with lots of research. I think we're all still figuring this out and hope we can do that together. Alright, and this is the suits. So she changed the suits. The 4 original suits are swords, wands, cups, and coins or pentacles. And respectively, their elements are air, fire, water, and earth. And she also added themes. So swords is possession, ghosts, the undead. Wands is devils. Cups is blood and vampires. Coins is witches, magic, and nymphs. So if any of those things sound like things that you don't really want to see presented, this might not be the deck for you. Each of the royalty cards of each suit feature the same person, transformed by time or circumstance to the role of king, queen, knight, or page. This is intended to remove gendered weight of the king/queen label, but keep the familiar title for ease of use. Yeah. Ultimately, the gender of the card is meaningless. Queens are as strong as kings, and at times we are brand new pages or reckless knights. So yeah. I've got the hiccups. that is a little bit about the deck. Actually, it feels like a lot about the deck. So there's no plastic packaging, which I really like. We're gonna get a little sneak peek of the Ace of Coins there. So this is the back of the cards. So I don't know if you can see that, how much you can see that, but there is some gold gilding on there. I really like it. I think it looks nice. It's not overbearing. And I don't see any of my cards sticking together. That doesn't mean they aren't, and we might get to it later, but that is pretty normal. As far as the cardstock is pretty standard, but it feels a little sturdier than standard, but not super thick. Like if you watched my review of the Modern Witch Tarot, I couldn't remember the name of it there for a second. That was extremely thick, almost too thick. It made the deck hard to hold. So, you know, if you have smaller hands, this is definitely a plus, and it does feel like it's going to hold up, so I wouldn't worry about that. So it looks like we're going to go kind of backwards through the major arcana. So we have the World. All right, there we go. This is all the closer I can zoom in, and I think it's pretty good for our situation. So like I said, there's the World. And I have seen some of these cards beforehand, just because, like I said, I'm friends with Killer Pancake, and, you know, we talk about art and stuff. So this is Judgment, and it is very, very creepy. The headstone down here says Lived Delish, which is kind of funny. We have the Sun. I really like this one. They're kind of pulling the entrails out of their mouth. I do know in the guidebook, which I have looked over, the electronic guidebook, it gives pronouns for every card. The person in the card, their pronouns, but since I don't have that pulled up right now, I'm just going to use they, them for all of them because I don't know their pronouns, but know that there are specific pronouns given to each card, and you can look at that if you want to look at the guidebook. And then we have the Moon. I'm probably going to get in trouble for boobies, but we'll let it be. If I have to add censors in, I will. The Moon is one of my favorite cards to see depicted. It's not one of my favorites meaning-wise, but I love to see how it's depicted, and this is no exception. I love the colors. I love the way the person's body is drawn. I love the almost veil-like situation going on here. We have the Sun, this is the Star, sorry. We already passed the Sun. I'm not used to going backwards. I have the Star. I really like this card. It's really pretty. I love the pastels and the way the person's body is turning. That's just very interesting. Like, they're kind of looking towards you, but not all the way. We have the Falling Tower, or just Falling Tower, which is, I like that describing it, because it kind of is like, oh, it's not just a tower standing there sturdy and strong. It's a tower that is in the process of falling. This person looks like they're kind of coming apart as well, which really describes that well. I have a hard time finding tower cards that I like, but I really, really do like this one, so I'm excited to work with it. We have the Devil. I like it. I know I'm a broken record, but this is another card I have a hard time finding designs for that I relate with, because the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery is oftentimes very biblical. There's also a lot of Jewish mysticism and religion in there as well, but the Devil card in particular is rather a biblical interpretation, at least from what I've seen, and I have a hard time connecting to it, just because I do. So this one, I don't have as much of an immediate connection as I do with this one, but I feel like this is one I really could connect to, because it looks like this person has just heard someone say, you know, you're causing your own problems, or like you're the problem, and they're turning to like confront them and the fire, and it's got that almost like defensive look that you can sometimes have when you don't want to admit you're your own problem. Like, that's the energy I get from this, a kind of defensive energy, but maybe they know they're in the wrong, but they're, you know, they haven't quite admitted it yet. And we have Temperance. Again, another card I don't always connect with that much. Some of the later major arcana I just don't connect to often, but this one I really like. Kind of reminds me of the Oak King They've got those leaves and the fish. I really like this. One thing I am noticing is, though, that there are no numbers, so if you go off of the numbers to remember the order of the major arcana, that's going to be an issue for you, but I don't really mind. I have that pretty much memorized at this point, so it doesn't bother me. And here we have Death, which is one of my favorite cards. I love the cyclical nature of the death and rebirth and growth and all that, but I don't immediately connect to this card looking at it, but I do enjoy, you kind of have the duology there. You have their eyes are on fire, they're leaking blood and bile perhaps, but at the same time you have the veins, which kind of remind me of trees more so than cracks. You have both the growth, the veins or the lines are growing up them and coming back. But, hi cat. At the same time you also have the, you know, leakage and everything. So I feel like I could connect with this card. It might just not be an automatic one. Can I help you, sir? You're kind of in the way. You're more than a little bit in the way. Yeah, what if I put you on your perch above the window? Okay, bye. Now we have Hanged. That is very gruesome. I do enjoy it though, because it's burning everything away so you can be transformed kind of like a phoenix. And then we have Justice. This is a good one. I love constellations and stars and galaxy themes along with water, so this card is aesthetically my jam. We have the Wheel of Fortune, and I do remember this one, the pronouns for this person are unknown. And this is very similar to the way she has drawn, the artist has drawn the Wheel of Fortune in other decks of hers. And it just kind of has to do with the cyclical nature of, you know, privilege and affluence and, you know, money, and then being lacking and not having enough. She does have each of the 4 suits there. And we have Hermit, terrifying child. I don't know if they're meant to be an adult or a child, but they make me think of a child and they're kind of terrifying. It works really well. It makes me think of a person that's been away from others for far too long, because even people who do enjoy their solitude, are introverted, that sort of thing, we all need to connect with people eventually. So this reminds me of the negativity of the Hermit in the Modern Witch Tarot, my most recent tarot video before this one. The Hermit was kind of portrayed as a very positive thing, stepping away from the internet. The person on the card was closing her laptop. And this one just kind of shows that negative side, which I feel like doesn't get talked about much, at least now, just because we are always so connected. So, you know, it's a good thing to remember, especially now during a pandemic when everyone is in their own homes. You know, we communicate over Zoom, Discord, you know, things like that. It's good to remember that you do need human communication and contact and socialization, even if it's not always possible. We have Fortitude, which I am thinking is strength. Person holding a cake, and it says happy birthday Jessica, and I feel like this is a reference to something, but I don't know what. I do like this person though. They look very strong, very leaderly, like they could be a good leader. They'd be able to make the tough decisions. Yeah. Then we have Chariot, which feels very different from the other cards, although it does remind me a bit of Hermit and Wheel of Fortune. They also have that sort of keyhole or doorknob plate type shape. I know there's a real term for like the plate that the doorknob's set into, but I don't know what it's called. Yeah, I like it. It's black and white. I don't think any of the other ones have been strictly monochrome yet, but it's good. It stands out. I like it, but it's not so far off from the others that it doesn't really work. You know, it does work. And then we have Lovers. Hold on. Okay, so some of the cards have these outlines, but not all of them do. And this, I remember, is a reference to a movie, but I have no idea what. I don't actually watch much horror. I do enjoy some, but I'm not well versed to know the references. Yeah. I like it because you don't know what the love is between these two. Is it a sibling? You know, is it a mother and child? Are they in a romantic relationship? That sort of thing. It's just, it really embodies the feeling of the lovers, which is two people on the same page. You know, they're going together, they're working together, they have the same alignment and goals, and that sort of companionship. So I feel like this really embodies that. Then we have the Hierophant, and I remember seeing this one before and having it really freak me out because the person has, I don't know if you can see them on camera, but they do have nails stuck into their body. This kind of makes me think of when you look at like a dissection book or even maybe a demonstration in science class. Obviously, unless you're in college, it's not going to be of a human being's body, but everything's kind of labeled and demarcated already. So it's kind of like, this is how we think of things, which is interesting. It reminds me of the Hierophant, which of course is a teacher who follows traditional, oftentimes religious meanings, but I don't think it's more of, you know, following the straight and true normal status quo in regards to learning and leadership. So it kind of reminds me of that. Like I said, biology, science class dissections. And then we have Emperor, and their tattoo, if you can't see, says fave, scary movie, and then it's the Scream mask. Again, this person looks very leadery, which is good for the Emperor. They need to be able to get things done and command people, not command, but like rally the troops, so to speak. I really like them. They're very pretty. I love their eyebrows. They're very striking. I do like the little lamp over them too. That's cute. And we have the Empress. I love the makeup that she has done on the person's face, the lines and stuff. It's really unsettling, but in a good way. I feel like that's a lot of this deck. Unsettling, but in a good way. We have the High Priestess. I absolutely love the pomegranate with the eyeballs. That is so cool. I believe this is one of the cards that a individual paid to be featured in. That's one of the things that Killer Pancake does. She has some slots open for different cards, and if you want to sponsor a card, you know, you get to be the model and help her design it. I actually did one of the cards in her second Bridge Witches deck. I wasn't in the card, but I did give her the theme. I suggested it. Yeah, so that's this, and I really like this card because, again, I love space, and you've got the stars and stuff, and the pomegranate with the eyeballs is really kind of interesting because they're all looking inward. The inner, you know, the inner strength, the inner fortitude, and like internal intelligence, looking in yourself for wisdom that you get from the High Priestess. I really do enjoy it. Then we have the Magician. Oh, this person is so cute. I love their outfit. They're holding some scissors, it looks like. And then you have the cup, the sword, the pentacle or coin, and it looks like maybe the staff here as a piece of wood. So yeah, they are ready to get stuff done, it looks like. Like they're fixing their glasses a little bit and they're ready to get down to work. The scissors are a very definite tool. Like when you cut something, it's cut. You know, for most things you can't uncut it. So then we have the Fool, which as always in Killer Pancake's deck is a self-portrait. It's really neat. It definitely looks like her. And I do like the way she's looking up as if she's ready to continue onward in learning, because this is the beginning. You'd go Fool and then Magician and so on and so forth. So I feel like this is a very good start card because she looks kind of optimistic and ready, but not weary because her journey is about to start. So we are going to now move on to the Minor Arcana. Alright, and I have seen less of these cards than I have of the Major Arcana, so this is going to be more new for me. We have the King of Swords. You know what, I think we'll go from the other end of the deck rather than going backwards, because it's easier to go backwards through the Major Arcana than it is the Minor Arcana. So One thing you'll notice when you start to get multiple tarot decks or watch different tarot deck videos is that they are all in different order. The manufacturers make them all in different order. All right, so here we have the Ace of Coins, which we saw earlier when I was flipping things over. This is a pretty standard design of the person, someone holding the item. That's pretty standard for Rider-Waite-Smith decks for the aces. I do really like the pine trees and the clouds. They're very nice. We have the Two of Coins. I really like the color scheme that I'm seeing here already. It's very nice. The greens and the golds. Very earthy, which works very well for coins. I'm going to double check and remind myself what, apparently I'm going to throw the box, what the theme for this is. For the coins, it is witches, magic, and nymphs. Alright, so we have the Three of Coins, like I said. The Four of Coins, oh I love it, like a satyr or a nymph taking a selfie or some sort of photo, I love it. The Five of Coins, kind of reminds me of Odin, although they do have two eyes, whereas Odin only has one, but with the two crows. Five of Coins doesn't really have anything to do with Odin though, so I don't think that was what was intended, but I see two crows, I always think of Odin. We have the Six of Coins. I like how this person is kind of like, yeah, I'm still strong even though I've been literally ripped in half and my brain's on fire, but you know, sometimes you just gotta keep pushing through even though it feels like you can't. You got the Seven of Coins. Oh, I like that with the waterfall. That's really pretty. And we have the Eight of Coins. Kind of, oops, have I been, what have I, oh my goodness. Let's fix this real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, fixed. This kind of reminds me of like an evil Ginny Weasley. Eight of Coins. She's definitely a student and she's continuing her work. We have the Nine of Coins. Oh, is that Mike Myers? Perhaps. Looks kind of like him. Not very nymph-like though. We have 10 of Coins. Well, that's interesting. It's different from what you normally see there, the abundance, but I guess it is focusing on the abundance, the 10 coins around the person rather than the person themselves. I like that. Alright, and we're in the Page of Coins. They look like the person who got lost first in a horror movie and is going to die. We have Knight of Coins. They somehow survived. And we have the Queen of Coins. I feel like this is watching me grow up. Like, it's my hairstyle. And then the King of Coins. Yeah, I really like this suit. I like the colors. I like the greenery and the plants. It feels very earthy and very grounded almost. Then we have the Ace of Cups, which I'm going to guess is vampires and blood, but let me double check. Yeah, Cups is blood / vampire, so if you don't feel comfortable with blood or anything like that, you might want to skip ahead. We have the Ace of Cups, a hand holding the item again. And we have Two of Cups. I did that wrong again. The Three of Cups. This one, oh, the Two of Cups kind of reminds me of Dracula's wives, but there were 3 of them, I believe, in the original book. I haven't seen any of the movies, so I don't know how it's different. Then we have the Four of Cups, and their tattoo says, "Delicious as hell." Definitely a vampire there. I like the purple with the orange and the red, so I'm guessing that is going to be the continuing color palette. We have the Five of Cups. I like that a lot. I like the expression on their face. I don't know what about it, but it's something. They look so tired. We have the Six of Cups. I like those glasses. The different organs and bits and pieces. And we have the Seven of Cups. I feel like they would kill you. They drain you dry. We have the Eight of Cups. That's really pretty. I like the nighttime sky. We have the Nine of Cups, which reminds me of the cover, but I think that might be something else in this deck. The multiple eyes and everything. Yep, there it is, by the way, Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups is what is on the cover. Modified slightly, but still there. I like that because it's kind of, I don't know. It's got that feeling of you've got what you want. The tattoo says, oh, my eyes aren't that good. What does it say? Bella. I'm assuming that's a reference to Twilight. We have the Page of Cups. Got something in their mouth. It's a little paper with an upside down heart. I like the blue overtones for them. Then we have the Knight of Cups. And there, it looks like a planet is kind of coming out of their skin. Then we have the Queen of Cups. Ooh, I like that. That is terrifying. I love it. We have the King of Cups. I've always felt like the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups are who you want to be your parents, but I don't know. They're pretty scary looking. Now we have the Ace of Wands. It kind of looks like a piece of Palo Santo, which is a type of wood used for cleansing in spiritual spaces. The wands are devils. I really like the purple nail polish that person has on their hands. We have the Two of Wands. Three of Wands. It says devils can't cry. Person's wearing a little bit of eyeshadow that matches the color of the nails of the ace. And we have the Four of Wands. The Five of Wands. The Six of Wands. And it says RDD. One is a lowercase and one is an uppercase D. I like this one a lot. I like the fire. I like the way they've got their arms up. They're like, yeah, I kind of know everything's shit, but I'm still going with it. We have the Seven of Wands. Probably, unfortunately, going to have to censor this one. Oh my gosh. I keep doing it, don't I? I gotta flip the cards over. So the Eight of Wands here kind of reminds me more of a Ten of Wands, so I'm really excited to see what she does for the Ten of Wands, to see how she ups the ante from here. Or I guess I'm thinking of the Ten of Swords, not the Ten of Wands, so I'm excited to see what she does for the Ten of Swords instead. But that's really good, I like that. It's interesting. Different type of horns than we've been seeing. And we have the Nine of Wands. Now, mind you, my grasp on the tarot is not the best, so I'm I want to see what she says in the guidebook about this card, because it's not what I immediately think of, but I might be misremembering, I might, there might just be something that I'm not clicking with, but it's a nice card. I'm interested to see what her description and reasoning of it is. We have the Ten of Wands. Then we move on to the Page of Wands. I really thought that was a cup of coffee when I first saw it. I like it. I like the skull as a candle holder. Knight of Wands. The Queen of Wands. And then the King of Wands. I like this one a lot. I like the colors, and I don't know, it's really striking, and it really draws your eye to their face. We have the Ace of Swords. As a reminder, swords is possession, ghosts, and the undead. So we have a sword in a graveyard. Pretty self-explanatory. We have Two of Swords. This kind of reminds me of a zombie. I guess a zombie would be an undead. I wonder if they maybe drowned or something and they're kind of coming back up out of the water. We have 3 of Swords. That is a really great way to describe or to portray that card. It's so intricate. Just gotta get my face closer so I can look at it more. Alright, so now we have the 4 of Swords. The 5 of Swords. Ooh, I like that. This one definitely also reminds me of a zombie. Again, they are the undead, so it makes sense. Like maybe leeches or something hanging on their face. Ugh. We have the 6 of Swords. I like that person's face. They look like they've seen a little bit. Like they have some experience, you know? But, I mean, their bottom half was ripped off, so I don't know if they've experienced that before. I like the red hair as well. It really brings the, like, same color as, like, the viscera and guts up through the painting. We have the 7 of Swords. Alright, so we have the 8 of Swords, which is actually the card I pulled from the Modern Witch Tarot. I always do a shuffle at the end where I talk about, or where I pull a card just to see what I get. So I wonder if it'll be the one I pull for this deck. Odds are no, but it might be. We have the 9 of Swords. I really kind of like the stabbing. That's kind of what a migraine feels like, actually, but it's kind of like you're in pain on the inside, more of like an emotional pain. I mean, physical pain can be internal as well, but like it's in this person's head, so I feel like it's probably more so, you know, an emotional pain or psychic pain if you want to get fancy. And we have the 10 of Swords. Okay, so I said I was interested in seeing how they did the 10 of Swords when we're looking at the 8 of Wands. And I really like that. I feel like that really does portray the 10 of Swords well. We have the Page of Swords. They're kind of ripping their own face off. We have the Knight of Swords. The Queen of Swords. Again, kind of looks like they're ripping their own face off. Very cruel looking, which I feel like a lot of times the Queen of Swords is portrayed as cruel only, whereas she's kind of like no nonsense, kind of separate from her emotions, but this lady, this person, excuse me, looks like they might be enjoying it a little bit. We have the King of Swords. I really like this person, this face. I don't know, it's just, there's something about it. And this is the last card, and underneath it is the Minor Arcana. So, yeah. It's a broken sword, though. That's interesting. I mean, the King does sometimes, you know, he's a little more balanced than the Queen traditionally is, I feel. The King kind of knows when to slash and attack and when to listen. So it feels like this person is listening right now. So that is the Cult Tarot deck. I'm going to put them all together and we're going to shuffle them and we're going to pull a card and I'll tell you what I feel or think while we're shuffling. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this. If you look on that finger there, you can kind of see the glitter that is on the gilded edges, and it's not glitter, it's gold foil. It's coming off of my hands a little bit, but like the guidebook says, if you shuffle it, it should take care of it. So I'm going to shuffle this now. Alright, I'm going to sit down so I can do this a little easier. There's nothing quite like shuffling. So that was our jumper card, so we pulled the Star. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the tarot deck. I guess I'll give like a wrap-up statement. I like the cardstock. It's a good, you know, good weight. It's thick enough that it doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart, but it's not so thick that you can't hold the deck. That was definitely the first time I'd ever had a tarot deck with cardstock so thick that I felt like I couldn't hold the deck. I've always been a proponent of the thicker the cardstock, the better, but I have since learned that there is such a thing as too thick of cardstock. But that's all really a personal preference. I like the gilding. I feel like it looks a lot better than some other gilding I've seen. It looks less, not fake, but it looks less like it's just been slapped on there. It looks like it's a part of it. And there is, I know I was talking about before, an issue with the glitter coming off, but I think that'll subside in time. and none of the cards were really stuck together, which is nice. The imagery is really cool. It's a lot more subtle than I was expecting, the like horror stuff, and maybe it's just because I don't know the references, and maybe some of you horror aficionados are watching this and you're like, that is so obvious, how did you miss that, how come you didn't mention that? If I didn't mention it, it's because I didn't know. But I like it, and I feel like it could really appeal to anyone who enjoys darker art aesthetics and themes. You don't have to really be a fan of horror movies to enjoy this deck or to understand it. It is very Rider-Waite-Smith focused, which is great for those who love the Rider-Waite-Smith. I love that this deck is an expression of gender. As you may know, I'm a non-binary person, and gender expression is something that I really enjoy hearing about from other people, because everyone's gender, especially if you're non-binary, well, everyone regardless of gender, whether you're trans or cisgender or not, we kind of have to be one or the other of those. It's really interesting to hear how they meaning everyone, describe their gender, what gender is. So I really enjoyed getting to look through this and see all these different expressions and realities for the characters in this deck. I also really enjoyed the the face cards, like the royalty cards or whatever you call them, the page, knight, queen, king, being the same person throughout. I always thought about that, but I've never seen it done. I'm not saying that Killer Pancake is the first person to do it. More so, I've just not come across a deck where it's done as of now. So yeah, that's what this is. I really enjoyed the information. If you're interested, will be down below, so you can check her out on her socials, on her website, all that jazz. And that is my honest thoughts about this deck. I'm usually pretty positive about decks because I only acquire them if I really do want them. So yeah. This is a deck that I'm very excited to use. Some of the decks I've gotten in the past year or so, I've been excited about, but then felt like, oh, I'm not going to use it, or ended up not using it. This one I do think I will end up using. So yeah, that is all I really have to say. I'm gonna put it away back in its sweet little box. Put this thing on top. Close it up, and that's it. I hope you all are having a really great day, staying warm or cool depending on what hemisphere you live in. And yeah, like and subscribe. Let me know what else you'd like to see on here. We kind of do a little bit of everything, whatever tickles my fancy, and that's it. Bye!